Hello everyone, it's Nicole Cameron here. I'm just doing a personal video in light of the Yogathon this year closing due to COVID-19 and all of us unable to meet together to share in the comforts of energy, yoga, and everything that everybody has to offer in that world. And unfortunately, because of COVID-19, we're in a place, in a state where we're in a state of isolation. We can't meet with everyone to share that love. So I'm here to kind of give my story in a different way, in a different format, which I think is beautiful too. So my story starts as far back as I'll go to my mental health issues that I ran into a couple years ago. So Two Souls Yoga, the studio that I own, was already in place and functioning very well. We had many classes on the schedule. We were doing fine. And then all of a sudden, one day I woke up and I was in a full state of full-blown complex PTSD with not knowing what had happened. I had feelings of anxiety, depression, and it all came on really, really quickly with no understanding of really what was the problem or what had happened. So in my sharing this story is in light to help and make everyone out there feel okay and understood and know that you're never alone. You're never ever alone in anything that you come across in mental health. Even though at many times we really feel like we're alone, we're not. So getting back to the story, when I was diagnosed with complex PTSD, and discovering that I had many visions of something that wasn't familiar to me. It was something that was very in the background. I couldn't understand what was happening. I was having flashbacks. All came down to that I was basically a survivor of sexual abuse in my early teens. So in all of that, I never really remembered all those acts or those things that kind of happened. Oh, sorry. In the background of living in the real house, you have dogs barking. So having that happen to me was a really traumatic event. It was something that uprooted my family, uprooted my business. I was still maintained. I had really good people underneath me that could really help me during that process so that, I wasn't gonna, sink. And that's the whole thing. Your support system is so, so important when we're going through things like that. And I want everybody to know out there that I personally, because I've experienced all of these things, I am deep within my heart would be there for any of you. It doesn't matter who you are, what walk of life you come from. I am an open book. I am a person that will share whatever it is in order to help whoever it is get through what they need and know that you're never alone out there. So going through that, I went through a lot of trauma therapy. I went through a lot of counseling in order to find myself again. And in that post enlightenment and post-traumatic growth, I found myself again. And it was so amazing to see myself grow throughout that process. And if any of you have known or followed my blog, it's NicoleCameron.blog. I started a year ago an event where I did a series of naked yoga photos, which were very, very tactful and presented in a very good way. I did that in order to improve my self-acceptance. I was really, really torn and broken down in that way. I couldn't see myself as something beautiful. And to this day, I still struggle with that sometimes. and that's okay. And I think to the end, we will always have something there that, you know, basically doesn't allow us to feel good about ourselves at times, right? I think that's pretty well normal. So in doing these naked yoga photos, I did a presentation each week with a quote, like basically a little short story on what I felt and what I went through that week, whether it was according to the picture that I have taken, in relation to the picture that I had taken, or in relation to what was happening in my life. I wanted to share. I wanted to share that experience with everybody so that everybody could see what was happening. So it did, in my terms, it freed me. It allowed me, because for so many years, I had to hold myself captive of not allowing to express myself the way I needed to. I was held, like I say, like, you know, masking tape over my mouth, not allowed to kind of tell people what had happened to me, because I was so fearful of what would happen next if I did that. And knowing now that there's nothing to be afraid of. Coming out of my shell and coming into who I am is exactly what I needed to do. And that was the right time and place because of all the supports that I did have under me. So each week I took a new photo, I related it to it, I posted it on my blog, sometimes on Facebook too, just to get the word out there. And it wasn't more for the attraction, but it was more for me letting myself go, letting myself completely go, and know that it was okay to free myself in that way, and that nobody could come and get me anymore in my dreams, in my walking, state of everyday life. I was so fearful of everything. I was a walking time bomb of fear, and now I no longer do that. And in light of all of that, I've come to convince myself to go further with this, and I'm going to write a book about it. So it will, stay tuned. It will be coming out. There is a book to go along with that. I am doing much better now. I am back to kind of teaching classes, but more online virtually because we're stuck in this state. But just recently, in the last 9 months, I went through a really bad state again, because I was, if some of you guys don't know, I had 3 back surgeries because I had a fall down the stairs. So that kind of set me back a bit. But in that case, I had the tools by then to kind of allow myself to go through it in a very natural, holistic way that didn't really set me back too much. I'm not telling you it wasn't a struggle, because it definitely was a struggle, those 9 months. You lose your independence. I lost many things that, that I never ever thought would ever happen to me in this world. But because, again, my support system that I had surrounding me really saved me through that. So, and in light of all of that and everything that's happening around us in the world today, right now, COVID-19, and not being able to, we're in seclusion, but know that you're never alone in seclusion. You can reach out to me either by our Facebook page at twosoulsyoga.com, or you can reach me through my blog, or you can reach me through my cell. I give my cell out to everyone just in case you need it. It's 705-507-1463, and know that at any time I am here for any of you out there that are struggling or need to talk about something, or just release it to somebody that isn't close to you, because sometimes that's easier too. So having said that, giving you a brief, episode of my story and what's happened. I love you all, and I wish you all the best in everything that's happening right now. Please stay safe and healthy. And until then, we meet again.